Hello from Salem, Massachusetts. I'm Randy Long. I made about 7 of these meh computers out of server motherboards, and I sent them to all my friends. And when I was building these, I thought it was pretty cool to buy these type of CPU fans that just push into the motherboard. You would just shove these right on in, and they would somehow lock into the motherboard on the bottom. Well, what I've discovered is, over time, these things do come loose. So the project is to replace this crappy push pin CPU fan with one that can be screwed in to the motherboard. But when I build these mech computers, I took off the little plate that's on the bottom of the motherboard. This is the plate here. So this plate needs to be underneath here in order to be able to screw in the screwable type CPU fan. So before you take the motherboard out, though, I want to remind you to be sure to note where these cables are connected to the motherboard. So these are the case cables, okay, that go up to the front of the unit. And if you don't know exactly what dips these are linked into, you're never going to turn the computer back on after you change out the CPU fan. So that's what needs to happen. After you take out the motherboard, you can pretty much just throw away the crappy push CPU fan, unless you can use it in another machine. What I found is that the plastic bends and breaks, and they're not even useful. And then when you put the new screwable type CPU fan back on, be sure to put some of that lovely CPU grease, or the goop, or whatever that's called, on top of the chip there, so that it doesn't overheat. That's the only problem with this computer, is that the CPU fan is loose, and so the chip overheats and shuts itself off. So it's very simple. Just need to take out the motherboard of the current meh. Need to somehow affix the metal. There's 4 holes where they go, so it sits right in there, and somehow make it stick in there, because it's going to fall out when you turn it over. It's going to just fall right on out. And then once it's laying down, now I can just easily screw in each of the 4 corners of the CPU fan, and boom! Put the motherboard back in, set up these special cables in order to power the box back on. Be sure you note exactly where they're located at, or the box is never going to turn back on. Your motherboard may be different than this one, although I nabbed a bunch of these server motherboards from a company I worked at. They were just going to toss them away, so I went, hey, I can build machines out of these. And then we should be able to put the lid back on. Don't forget to hook up the fan. And voila, meh should be working again with its new screw-on CPU fan.